I am so sorry for all of the technical difficulties today, but we're so excited to have so many people here. We are going to go ahead and get started with our program. So let's go to the next slide. So if you all could quickly rename yourself with your state and your first name so we can know where everybody's from. All right, so let's move on. So please use the chat feature. I know you all are using the chat feature now, so that's great. You can in chat message everyone or an individual. You can use thumbs up, thumbs down, clap, raise your hand. And we are going to ask you to stay muted during the meeting today. And when we get to the questions portion, then we will unmute you when you raise your hand if you're called on. All right, next slide. Okay, so we're going to have Shawnice Gregory lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, the Girl Scout Promise, and the Girl Scout Law. Is Shawnice unmuted?
Don't think so. I know she's on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Girl Scout Promise. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout Law. The Girl Scout Law. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout.
I'm unmuted. Can everybody hear me now? Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Taylor Blair. As you all may know, I'm a Go to Work Girl Scout recipient from the year of 2019. My Go to Work project was entitled the For Little Girls Patch Program, where I was able to make a patch and all of the requirements and things that go along with doing that. And now we will get into a video about 1963 in Birmingham.
On May 2nd, 1963, over 1,000 Black children in Birmingham skipped school to participate in marches protesting segregation. This action was known as the Children's Crusade. The students began their powerful march from the 16th Street Baptist Church, which served as a meeting place for civil rights leaders. White police officers, led by Commissioner Bull Connor, arrested hundreds of students that day and filled the Birmingham jails to capacity, leading the police to use the fairgrounds as a makeshift holding area for arrested children. Despite the arrest, hundreds more Black children showed up the next day to march. Commissioner Bull Connor ordered police and fire departments to use brutal violence against the peaceful young protesters, including sicking German Shepherd police dogs on the children, firing high-powered water cannons at them, and beating them with clubs. Shocking pictures of children being brutalized by the police officers were shown in newspapers and on TV around the world, sparking a public outcry and leading President John F. Kennedy to support civil rights legislation. Just 4 months later, on Sunday morning, September 15th, 1963, members of the white supremacist terrorist organization, the Ku Klux Klan, planted a bomb underneath the 16th Street Baptist Church. The explosion injured dozens of church members and killed 4 girls who were in the church basement at the time. Denise McNair, 11 years old. Addie Mae Collins, 14 years old. Cynthia Wesley, 14 years old. and Carol Robertson, a Girl Scout, 14 years old. The brutal murder of 4 innocent girls horrified the nation. Historians now point to the bombing as a turning point in the civil rights movement, leading federal legislation on civil rights. Martin Luther King Jr. gave the eulogy and called the girls victims of one of the most vicious and tragic crimes ever perpetrated against humanity. They are the martyred heroines of Holy Crusade for freedom and human dignity. And so, this afternoon, in a real sense, they have something to say to each of us in their death. However, the Klansmen who committed the bombing, murdering the 4 little girls, were not brought to justice until 40 years later. Kelly Ingram Park in Birmingham, a gathering place for civil rights activists in the 1960s and today, is now filled with the statues depicting the acts of police brutality and violence against young protesters. Jarring images that awoke the nation to the truth of Black excellence in Alabama at the time. Across from the 16th Street Baptist Church, where they lost their lives, the 4 little girls are remembered in life-size statues. Ballad of Birmingham by Dudley Randall. Mother dear, may I go downtown instead of out to play and march in the streets of Birmingham in a freedom march today? No, baby, no. You may not go, for the dogs are fierce and wild. In clubs and hoses, guns and jails aren't good for a little child. But mother, I won't be alone. Other children will go with me and march the streets of Birmingham to make our country free. No, baby, no. For I fear those guns will fire. But you may go to church instead and sing in the children's choir. She has combed and brushed her night dark hair and bathed rose petals sweet and drawn white gloves on her small brown hands and white shoes on her feet. The mother smiled to know that her child was in the sacred place, but that smile was the last smile to come upon her face. For when she heard the explosion, her eyes grew wet and wild. She raced through the streets of Birmingham calling for her child. She clawed through bits of glass and bricks. She lifted out a shoe. Oh, here's the shoe my baby wore. But baby, where are you?
Okay, Taylor.
All right, so who committed the murders? The Klansmen. There was a Klansman named Bobby Frank Cherry, Thomas Blanton, Robert Chambliss, and Herman Frank Cash, all Ku Klux Klan members. The Ku Klux Klan, better known as the KKK, is a white supremacist hate group that was founded in 1865. Throughout its history, factions of the secret organization have used acts of terrorism, including murder, lynching, arson, rape, and bombing to oppose the granting of civil rights to African Americans. Still active today, the group opposes social change and continued to promote violence against Black people, Muslims, Jews, and sorry, there is something over my screen. Catholics and foreign-born. Did they go to prison? The FBI conducted an investigation and collected evidence immediately following the bombing. The collected evidence pointed to the guilt of the 4 men, but charges were not filed. In 1977, Robert Edward Chambliss was arrested and found guilty of the bombing. He died in prison in 1985. Herman Frank Cash died in 1994 without ever being charged with committing the bombing. In the 1990s, the FBI declassified the files from the original investigation following the bombing. Using the new evidence, United States Senator Doug Jones, who was at the time the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, reopened the case. Senator Jones successfully prosecuted Thomas Edwin Blanton, convicted in 2001, and Bobby Frank Cherry, convicted in 2002. Both men eventually died in prison.
Okay, everyone, we have a very special guest with us today, Senator Jones, our senator from Alabama. And I'm going to ask everybody in the chat to please be respectful. Please remember the Girl Scout promise and law that we said at the beginning of this meeting today. You know, today is not a day to debate any issues that I'm seeing pop up in the chat. Today is a day to remember the 4 little girls and to learn why their case is relevant today. So having said that, welcome Senator Jones. And let me make sure that we get Senator Jones unmuted. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Oh, there. Great.
Can you hear everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for letting me come and share a few minutes with you today. Congratulations to all the Girl Scouts out there. Taylor, it's always good to see you again. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. And the film was just perfect.
Thank you.
It's really captures a lot of what I would now. I don't have to worry about talking about because you did it for me. So thank you. I do think it's important, though, in discussing what happened with our convictions in 2001 and 2002, to reflect back and go back to what was actually going on in Birmingham in 1963. There had been a lot of movement in the civil rights movement here in Birmingham. And what you saw with the fire hoses and the dogs, what you saw with things going on that summer was essentially the fact that the Klan during that time was seeing that segregated way of life sliding away, and they weren't happy about it. And what was really significant about what happened in the spring with the fire hoses and the dogs and the use of the church as the place where they would gather before they would go out into the streets, where they were met with the fire hoses and the dogs, is when they resolved those issues. The Klan was pretty unhappy, and they were now seeing the kids and the church as the symbols of the movement. And that really kind of put a target on the church especially, but also the kids to some extent. And over the course of the summer, the Klan became more violent. There were a lot more bombings in Birmingham. Reverend King's, Dr. King's brother was preaching in Birmingham at the time. His home was bombed. Arthur Shores, a Birmingham lawyer, his home was bombed twice that summer. And it was in the fall of 1963 that a lawsuit that had been filed years earlier finally became law that the Birmingham city schools were going to be integrated for the first time. Black kids were going to be allowed to go to what had been all white schools. And that really troubled a lot of people in this city. It made for a dangerous situation. And that happened just 5 days before this bombing. So we believe as lawyers that's what prompted the bombing itself, that the bomb was placed there right in response to the school desegregation orders that were going on. And it was on a Sunday morning, September 15th, which also happened to be a youth Sunday. The youth of that church were coming together, and they were going to lead the Sunday school, and they would lead the worship service that would occur later that they never got to have because the bomb went off. But the Klan was pretty upset. They saw what was happening and they couldn't get the changes. They saw what happened in Washington in August with the I Have a Dream speech, and they knew that they weren't going to make those changes. So that bomb went off. It killed 4 girls, injured another really bad, Sarah, who was the sister of Addie Mae Collins. And the FBI really did a lot of work to try to get that case solved at the time. But the Klan was a really tight-lipped organization, and they stood down and they stood together. No information was developed, and it took about 13 years. 1977, before then Alabama Attorney General Bill Baxley prosecuted the guy that you heard about a moment ago, Robert Chambliss. He was known as Dynamite Bob because he was thought to be involved in a lot of the bombings in Birmingham, Alabama over the course of time that never got prosecuted. But Baxley set about to prosecute it. Now, I will tell you, girls, you know, what was for me, I was only 9 years old when the bomb blew up, but I was in law school when Baxley prosecuted the first case. And I cut my classes. Now, I know your teachers and your parents probably don't want to hear that, but I actually went to that trial and watched it in the balcony unfold, never dreaming that 24 years later, I would have an opportunity to kind of finish that job, to prosecute the 2 surviving members of the folks that were thought to have bombed that church and killed those 4 little girls. And so I watched that trial unfold, and it was a really incredible moment for Birmingham. It brought a sense of healing to Birmingham, but they also knew that there were more people involved. It wasn't just Chambliss. And the case got closed for so long, and then it was reopened right before I became the United States Attorney. So reopened in kind of late 1996, and I became the U.S. Attorney in 1997. And my staff and I got together to try to really put a lot of time and effort, because we knew that time was not on our side. Folks were getting old, folks were dying, the evidence was getting stale. If there was ever going to be an opportunity to do this case, it was going to be then. And so we made a point of really knuckling down and really doing amazing investigation. The FBI was incredibly cooperative. The Justice Department, of which I was the U.S. Attorney, that, you know, the U.S. attorneys are the lead law enforcement, federal law enforcement in each district. We've got 3 federal districts in Alabama, the Southern District in Mobile, the Middle District in Montgomery, and the Northern District, where I was the U.S. Attorney. I was appointed by President Clinton, confirmed by the Senate. That's the Northern District. That's where Birmingham and Huntsville is located. So we set out to really do the work, and it took a while. We had another bombing in Birmingham at a women's clinic that kind of put us off track for a little bit. But ultimately, we were able to gather enough evidence to really pull this case together and indict 2 people. An indictment is just that. It's just a charge. It's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what you prove in trial. But we charged Thomas Edwin Blanton, known as Tommy Blanton, and a fellow named Bobby Frank Cherry for the murders of those 4 girls. They were tried separately. Blanton was tried first in 2001, and Cherry was tried second in 2002. And the evidence that we had on each of them was pretty amazing to me. In the Blanton case, we had a couple of things that were important, very important for the Blanton case, because he didn't talk a lot. He was still living in Birmingham. Cherry had moved to Texas. But we had a fella who was, and you saw a picture of him a few minutes ago in the film, where they showed what happened at the bombing. You saw a black man with a megaphone. That was James Lay. James Lay was kind of what they called a civil defense worker. He worked at the post office, but at night he and others would ride around in the black neighborhoods to try to protect the homes, the churches of the civil rights leaders. And about 2 weeks before this bombing, he is traveling by 16th Street Church at 1 o'clock in the morning, and he sees a car parked beside the church. There were 2 people around, no one else around except 2 white men. One is standing by the car, and another one is standing right over there by the steps where this bomb was ultimately placed. The man standing by the steps had he called it a grip. It would have been like a backpack or a gym bag or something along those lines. And when he hit his bright lights, they jumped in the car and fled. And they called the police. Police said, just going home. You didn't see a thing. But after the bombing, they called the police and the FBI back. And the police confirmed what James Lay had told them that night. And James Lay went up to the FBI office and looked at a lot of pictures. And out of the hundreds of pictures he looked at, he picked out 2 people that he thought were the ones that were there that night. One of them, the guy standing by the car, was Robert Chambliss, who Bill Baxley would prosecute in 1977. And the other guy was Tommy Blanton, one of the guys that I would prosecute. So that's pretty strong evidence right there about their motive and intent and their identification. The other thing that we had, and I'm going to kind of shortcut this because when I do these presentations, they last an hour, hour and a half, and I have the videos and things. And So I'm going to kind of shortcut this. But the other really important piece of evidence that we had in the Blanton case was a tape recording. The FBI had put a bug in Blanton's house, and he and his wife lived there. And they put a bug in there. They had approval from the Attorney General to do that. And they put a bug in his house, and they caught on tape one time where Blanton was talking to his then wife. She was his girlfriend on the day of the bombing, but they got married in the spring of 1964. And on tape, he's talking about her interview with the FBI and what she told them. And she quizzed him about where he was on the Friday night before the bombing, because they were supposed to go out on a date, and he stood her up. And she was quizzing him about where they were, and that the FBI wanted to know where he was. And at that point in that tape and on the tape, he admits that he was involved in planning the bomb, making the bomb, and working on the bomb that weekend. That was an incredibly important piece of evidence. It's the only time anyone out of their own mouth had talked about the fact they were part of the group that made the bomb, planted the bomb, and was planning the whole thing. And she was an important witness for him because she ended up lying for him over the course of the year. She was his alibi that kept him out of prison for a long time, because she just said they went home and fell asleep. The fact is that that tape proved that he was not only guilty, but that she had lied about it early on. So those were two really critical pieces of evidence. We had one guy that was an informant that rode around with Blanton. His name was Mitchell Burns. He was an informant for the FBI. He rode around with Blanton, and they recorded a lot of conversations, but they never got really a lot of admissions on the tape. Blanton would laugh and talk about what he would do when he bombed his next church, and he would always be critical of the FBI and the Black community and the church. But there was a couple of times when it wasn't on the tape, but he said that they had missed an alley. They went and picked up Bobby Frank Cherry, and Cherry on this tape recording is talking about lying to the FBI. And Blanton says that he shouldn't talk too much around Mitchell Burns because Burns doesn't know too much, and they wanted to keep it that way. The Cherry case was a lot different. It was a year later after there was an issue about Cherry's competency. But the Cherry case, we had similar evidence leading up to the bombing, but then Cherry thought he had gotten away with it, and he made admissions over the years. He admitted it to his family, and his granddaughter ended up testifying. He admitted it to an ex-wife, and she ended up coming and testifying. He admitted it to a guy in Texas where he was cleaning apartments. We had about 5 or 6 folks, including a fella who was only 11 years old at the time and friends with Cherry's oldest son. And he testified about being in the house that day, the weekend before, and Cherry talking about the bomb and the bomb being ready in 16th Street Baptist Church. And so all of those things just came together for us. A trial, for those of you who haven't ever seen a case or watched a case, you may have your relatives, a friend, a dad or a brother or an uncle, grandfather that may be a lawyer. They will tell you trials are like a puzzle, and you take these bits of pieces of evidence and you put them together, and you hope at the end of the day, as a prosecutor, you hope at the end of the day when you put the pieces of the puzzle together, that there are enough pieces that would show a picture that you could prove beyond a reasonable doubt, not beyond any shadow of a doubt, but beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. And we were very fortunate with our cases because we had juries that were fair and unbiased, which could not have happened in the 1960s. We had juries that were composed of men and women, young and old, black and white, that gave both the prosecution and defense a fair shake. And that's what we had always wanted. At the end of the day, neither of these defendants testified in their own behalf. They had a sordid past and a sordid history, and they did not testify in their own behalf. We presented the case. It took only about 2.5 hours for the jury to convict Tommy Blanton, and about 6 hours, I think, maybe a little bit more, for the jury to convict Bobby Frank Cherry. Both were sentenced to prison for life. Not life without parole, but sentenced to prison for life. Cherry died in prison about 3 years after he was incarcerated. Blanton just died about a year ago, actually less than a year ago. He was denied parole one time, and then he died. And that with him died, I think, the last of the suspects. We always believed that there were more than just those three that were convicted, that knew about it. There's a lot more to the story, but we only could get the evidence for those three. And at the end of the day, I can tell you that it brought an incredible amount of healing to the city of Birmingham and to the state of Alabama. For so long, Alabama had been looked upon in the images that you saw on the video, of black and white images of fire hoses and dogs and segregated lunch counters. But after those convictions, Alabama was seen in a state of diversity and living color. I was very proud to be associated with those cases. I was honored to be part of the group that achieved those convictions. And I say a group because I get far too much credit for it. It was really a team effort and a community effort, because at the end of the day, I didn't convict anyone. A jury, people in Jefferson County, Alabama, composed of 12 men and women, young and old, black and white. They're the ones that convicted. They're the ones that looked at the evidence and said that there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think that going back over that was important for the city. It's important for the state, because at the end of the day, you can never, ever delay justice. You can never delay doing the right thing. When at the time, the Black community was let down so tremendously by not being able to pursue those cases. So I really appreciate, that's kind of a quick overview. I appreciate the opportunity to talk, and if we've got some time, I'm happy to try to answer any questions for a little bit. Let me say this too, folks, I really appreciate the fact that Taylor has really taken this on as a project to get this word out and to spread, because it's so important where we are today in this country, where we have seen continuing the racial inequities across the land, whether it is in law enforcement, whether it is in economics, whether it is in healthcare. And we need to do something about it. And we have opportunities to do that. We all live on this planet together. And we need to make sure that we treat everybody equally fairly. And I think going back and looking at this history and learning from those mistakes is the best way to not make those mistakes in the future. So thank you for everyone, and happy to, if we have the time, to answer a few questions.
Thank you so much. As stated in the chat, if you have any questions, you can definitely send them in now while we still have the time for Senator Jones while he's on to answer them.
There's some great questions in the chat room. Did only the 4 little girls die, or were there more girls?
Only 4 died. There was a 5th little girl in there, Sarah Collins Rudolph. Sarah was the sister of Addie Mae Collins. And it was an incredibly poignant moment in the trial because Sarah was the last witness. And when I called her, she talked about the fact that they were down there, they were excited about the youth worship service that they were all going to participate in. And I asked her, you know, what was going on. And she said she had walked over to a sink. They were in the ladies' lounge. And she'd walked over a sink to wash her hands when she heard Denise McNair say something about her new dress. And I turned and I asked her, what did she do? And she said, well, I just turned around and I looked in the room and I saw my sister tying the sash of Denise McNair's new dress. And then I asked her, well, what happened? She said, well, then there was the explosion and she was buried underneath all the rubble. And I asked her what she did. And she said, I called out for my sister. I called out, Addie, 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 her voice really rising. And I asked her if the last thing I said in the part of the case where we were presenting evidence, did you ever hear her respond? And she said, no, sir. Did you ever see her alive again? And she said, no, sir. It was just a most dramatic moment that I'll ever see in a trial. But Sarah is still living in Birmingham. She is still blind in one eye. From what I understand, she has a new book coming out soon detailing her life and her religious faith that has sustained her over the years. So y'all be on the lookout for that.
Thank you, Senator Jones. Here's another great question. This is from Jacqueline from Alabama. What advice would you give a young Black girl on how to become a civil rights lawyer and a U.S. Senator?
The former is easier than the latter. Study hard, study history, study literature, study English, study hard, get good grades, get focused on going to law school and have a mission. And don't wait till law school. Start getting involved in your community now. There are a lot of issues out there that you can be an advocate for without a law degree. Get involved in your school, in your community, with an eye toward law school down the road. The U.S. Senator part's a little bit more difficult. You active in community, active in politics, making sure you're at the right place at the right time. I worked for Senator Howell Heflin from Alabama right out of law school when I finished in 1979. So it took me a long time to make it, but it was well worth the wait. So things have to line up just right for you. The thing I would say about being a senator or any elected office is simply this: do it for the right reason. So many people go into politics these days as an ego trip. They want to be a senator. They want to be a governor. They want to have the prestige. They want to have the power. That's the wrong reason. Work in your community. Remember, every elected office is a service. It's a public service. And you've got to have a servant's heart to do it and to do it effectively. So go into it with the right reason. And if it happens, great. But if it doesn't, you can still make a positive difference in whatever you want to do by getting engaged in the community.
There are so many great questions in the chat log. We're going to see if we can help answer some of these just in the chat log. Katie, you want to take back over now, or Taylor?
Yes, we also have a special guest up next.
Thank you, Senator Jones, so much. First, we want to make sure we thank you so much, Senator Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and being on with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you as always.
Thank you, Senator Jones. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Our next dynamic guest is a family friend, sister of Denise McNair, the youngest of the 4 little girls, author and speaker, Miss Lisa McNair. And we may have to unmute her. I believe she is already here.
She was here.
I'm here. I was just waiting to be unmuted.
Okay. Hello. Good morning.
Hi,
Thank you
Lisa.
for being here as well.
Morning. Hey, Karen. Long time no see.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for coming today. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank
sure.
you.
No problem. Hey, Taylor and everybody.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Well, thank you all for having me. I wish I could have said hey to Doug. He did a good job. He's awesome. He's an awesome guy. We're blessed to have had him as our senator.
I'm still here. Thank you, Lisa.
Hey, hey, how you doing? Hug. Okay. Well, as Taylor told you, that Denise was my sister, and she was my older sister. I was not born yet. Denise was 11 years old. And how many of you all are 11 there, or around 11? Yeah, she was your age. And so my mommy and daddy had tried to have other kids, but they hadn't been able to. But after she died, I was born almost a year to the day that she was born. That she was killed. And then 4 years later, my mom and dad had another child, my baby sister Kim. So there are now 2 of us. My mama is the only parent that is still living. My father passed away this past May, a year ago. So he's no longer with us, but she's here, and I was checking on her earlier, she has Alzheimer's, but she's doing well. She has a good attitude and she's a happy person. And her biggest thing every day is she wants to eat. She wants to eat all day, every day. And she wants gum or a barbecue sandwich or some candy. So she has a very healthy appetite. And I think Doug told you one of the biggest things that's so important, that 3 people were convicted of Denise's murder and the murder of the other 4 girls. And it took a very long time, but we did finally receive justice for that. And I didn't know what you wanted me to say or what you wanted me to talk about, Taylor. So that's just like a real brief synopsis. You know, I can go on, but if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you. I really just wanted to make sure that I had most of the people involved here. So we're just really grateful to have you here and honored. I know we can probably get a few questions in for you. I know the chat room is blowing up with tons of questions right now. So
I go ahead and give a question real quick. Some of the questions I've received from other people throughout the day is, how has this affected your life, Lisa, and your family's life? And what just personal advice do you have to the young girls out there on their own journeys?
And Lisa, this is Karen. You might also want to talk about your dad's service and you know, how this affected and how it influenced your family.
Okay. I'll start with that and backtrack. My dad believed in the system of government and the system of laws that we have in this country, and he worked to do that. So one of the things he did was he became a state legislator. So he was the first African-American state legislator legislator from Jefferson County. In 1973, he was sworn in to office, and he served in the legislature a number of terms, and then he took a break and then ran for the county commissioner seat for Jefferson County and served a number of the terms there before he retired. So he was a very prominent figure in our community. He was also a professional photographer, and he shot lots of pictures of people in Birmingham, both Black and white, but he also was one of the photographers for Ebony and Jet magazine. So we have a lot of pictures that he shot of the civil rights movement, of Dr. King and other people like that. And how has it affected my family? You know, someone said one time that we live parallel lives to Denise. It's always a part of our life. We keep going and keep living, but you know, that part never goes away. For my parents, the sorrow and the pain never left. They just learned to manage it and to deal with it. To Kim and I, you know, we want to always carry on the legacy of Denise and the other 3 girls, and want people to never forget that. Like Doug said, if we know our history, hopefully we will not repeat it. And it's so important to know this history because it's our American history, our shared American history, not just Black history or civil rights history, but it's American history. It's a sad part, but we want to know the good and the bad so that we can try to do the good most of the time. And did I ask all of your, I don't know your name, lady who asked the question before Karen? I'm sorry.
Jennifer.
That's fine. Here's some other great questions
out of the chat room.
So here's a really great one I think you can answer for several girls. What was it like growing up in Birmingham after all of this happened?
Well, you know, I have to say that because I was born in 1964, I was part of the first generation of African Americans in this city, in this country, who were able to go freely throughout the country without the segregation laws. So I don't really remember much about any racial things happening to me. Of course, people did say ugly things from time to time. But I think the fact that I was born when I was born And then my father was a local politician and quote unquote celebrity. I think we were very fortunate not to have experienced any of those things, but you know, you can tell from what's going on now that that didn't end it, that things like that are still going on.
All right. Did anybody else have any final questions to ask? I know we won't be able to get to them all.
I forgot to say.
Yes.
And I don't know if y'all said this already. Did you all know that Dr. Martin Luther King gave the eulogy to the
Yes.
3 of the girls' funerals? Okay.
Yes, yes. Nobody has said that. I personally know that, but I don't know if everybody knew that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carol Robertson's mother planned her funeral very shortly after she found out that she had passed away on that Sunday. So when Dr. King came over to Birmingham from Atlanta that Monday to talk with the families about planning the funeral, she didn't really want to change it because she'd already been through the trauma of trying to plan her daughter's funeral. And so the other 3 families, McNair, Collins, and Wesley, had their daughter's funeral together at 6th Avenue Baptist Church at its original location downtown. And if you get a chance to listen to the eulogy, it's a part of, it's on tape, and I think it's on YouTube, and you can also get a written version. It's an amazing eulogy. He did a fabulous job. I've had the chance to listen to it, and it's quite moving.
I know Katie and I, for sure, as well as yourself, have actually been to visit and attend 16th Street Baptist Church. And I see a lot of comments that are asking you to maybe explain, or just a lot of people don't know how the setup of the church is, how it's built, and they're not understanding why the girls were in the basement or what the setup of that day was like. So she would, I would like you to personally explain that. That question keeps getting asked a lot.
Okay, what is the question exactly, so I can understand?
Why they were in the basement, that was part of the church. It's not just an empty basement, it's part of the foundation.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not just an empty basement like some you have houses and a basement might be unfinished or something like that. It was a finished part of the church. So downstairs in the basement was the Sunday school class. So picture a rectangle, and around the rectangle were the Sunday school classes, and in a little bunch of different rooms, and inside in the middle was just like an auditorium where after Sunday school everybody would meet and recap the Sunday school lesson. But also down there was a restroom, and a restroom that had a lounge. So part of it, you go in the bathrooms, sometimes there's the bathroom stalls and the sink, and then there'll be like a sitting area, sofa with chairs. That's where they were downstairs. So the basement wasn't just, it was a finished piece. Then you went upstairs, and then that was the sanctuary. So the sanctuary was above the basement, and that's where they had church and the choir stand and the choir loft and the pews for everybody.
Thank you. And for all the girls, if you aren't aware, the church was remodeled or refinished after the bombing. So it is still standing. It is not a museum. It is still a church. Not with the pandemic going on, they aren't allowing people to attend church services there right now, but I'm sure there are services online that you may be able to watch if you would like to do so. Also, I wanted to, while I have you here, I know you have definitely been to visit the Four Spirits in Kelly Ingram Park, the statue honoring the 4 little girls. If people did not know, there is a statue honoring the 4 little girls in their passing, entitled The Four Spirits. And that is at Kelly Ingram Park, which is across the street from 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And when everything opens up, I highly recommend everybody go and visit the church. They've redone the basement, and it's fabulous. and they've made it like a museum to give the history of the whole church. And then across the street from the park is the statue to the girls, the Four Spirits statue. So it's very important to visit that.
And I'm sorry, it's not a museum, but they do have tours available. So when things do open back up, they do, the 16th Street Church does have tours and things like that that you can go see there. All righty. Well, thank you so much for coming. We have loved having you here to speak. It has been such an honor. Thank you so much, Miss Lisa.
Well, thank you all for having me. You all have a great day.
Yes. Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
So who were the four little girls? As we've just spoken with Lisa McNair, the sister of the youngest killed in the 16th Street Church bombing, Denise McNair, the other three little girls. So like I just said, Denise McNair was born on November 17th, 1951. She attended Center Street Elementary School. She was a Brownie and Girl Scouts, just like all of us. She was a Girl Scout. And she raised money for charity by staging plays, dance routines, and poetry readings in the family carport. We also have Carol Robertson, born April 24th, 1949. A straight A student at Parker High School, she played clarinet, the marching band, and she was in the science club. And Carol Robertson was a Girl Scout. We have Cynthia Wesley, born April 30th, 1949. She attended Ullman High School. She played the piano as well as the clarinet, and Cynthia loved reading. Lastly, we have Addie Mae Collins, born April 18th, 1949. She attended Hill Elementary School. She loved to play softball. She had 6 brothers and sisters, including Sarah, who was seriously injured in the bombing, losing her right eye. Why is it still important today? At this time, I will bring my troop leaders forward, personally, Dr. Christina Norman and Denise Gregory. If we could unmute them at this time.
And this is Katie Smith. I'm going to jump in again and remind everybody to remember the Girl Scout promise and law. Be respectful when you're asking questions, and remember, what we're talking about today is a really difficult topic. These 4 girls who were close to a lot of your ages lost their lives. And so when we have people coming on and talking about their personal experiences with these girls and these families, remember, these are really difficult topics for people to talk about and bring up a lot of emotions. So as you ask your questions, please be respectful. All right. Thank you so much. And we will start with some questions. I think we have Denise and Christina both on now. So thank you.
Oh, can somebody please unmute Shawnice Gregory? That's where Denise will be speaking from. Did we get Shawnice unmuted? Alabama Shawnice.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, thank you. We got you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I apologize this morning.
Okay.
I apologize. My dog is so excited. I think about all the great things that we've been discussing this morning, and he is just really excited. So we're gonna carry on. We all know that we are in our homes, and so forgive me for that. So I've seen. Can you all hear me?
Yes. Can we also unmute Ann Hurd Nesbitt? She will also be a moderator of the discussion.
And I'm gonna get my dog together.
Okay.
So is Ann with us, Ann Hurd Nesbitt with us also?
Yeah.
As well?
I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. Dr. Norman was not able to be with us. She was with us earlier this morning, but she had a funeral also to attend, and so she had to kind of shift gears a little bit this morning. But we also have another great friend that is here to help. Ms. Ann Hurd Nesbitt is also available, and so we're just here this morning just to kind of facilitate a discussion with you all about conversations that we've heard today, and just kind of get reaction and just kind of assist where we can. Hopefully you've heard some great information about some of the conversations that happened during the time with 4 little girls. But we also know that there are some things that are going on now in our world, in our country, that also lead to injustice, civil unrest in our country also as well. So we just wanted to spend a few moments, not long at all, but just answer some questions or want to remind you the importance and the value of showing respect to others. We know that that's part of our Girl Scout promise and laws of the things that we want to do is be respectful of each other. And we know that if we do that, and we have simple things such as that, if we follow those rules that are part of who we are as Girl Scouts, that our world would be such a great place. And it is, even today it is, but it would be a much more place where people show unity and respect for others. So we just want to start with that. Ms. Ann Hurd Nesbitt, would you something that you like to share before we kind of get into some of the conversation?
First, I would definitely like to congratulate Taylor and the Girl Scout Association on this wonderful program. And it is a good topic, and it is very timely. Not always an easy topic, but I'm glad that Taylor, with the assistance of her troop leaders and her troop and community support, was able to do this project. And hopefully over time, the discussion will get easier and it will get better, but it will only get better if we discuss it and have open conversations about it as we're doing today.
Respectful, open conversations, everybody.
Thank you, Taylor. Exactly. Respectful, open conversations.
And if I could, I'm so sorry, Dr. Gregory, if I could jump in and ask Janet to share a couple of our slides. So we have a couple of slides about, I know when we learn about history, maybe when you learn about history in school, it seems very much like these are events that happened a long time ago and we have moved past that, but we have very similar events happening today. So Janet, I think it's a couple slides before this. So the slide that you were just on, in Charleston, South Carolina, just 5 years ago, there was a shooting committed by a 21-year-old white supremacist, killing members of that church, 9 members of the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, while they were participating in a Bible study service. Just 5 years ago. So I know that we have talked so much about the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church. attacking Black people while they were attending a church service. And we're talking about, that event that happened 57 years ago, but a very similar event happened 5 years ago. So back to this slide, I know all of you have heard this summer about the police shootings of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd that led to both of their deaths. And a few years back, some of you may be too young to remember this, but we also wanted to include Tamir Rice, who was killed by police when he was 12 years old. All of these were really important events in our society that have led to a lot of protests that I'm sure that you've heard about, and really an awakening, a reawakening. So in the video that we showed at the beginning of the program, we talked about how the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing and how the Children's Crusade marches and the police brutality after that event led to an awakening around the country and around the world of what is happening to Black people in America. Well, I think that we're going through a really similar event right now, in that a lot of people are starting to wake up to what is still happening to the Black community. And so, we wanted to facilitate this discussion to bring it all together. The next slide, Janet. So, of course, Girl Scouts of the USA came out over the summer. We have an anti-racism pledge that you can sign at girlscouts.org. And we've had Girl Scouts around the country participating in marches to support our Black brothers and sisters around the country. All right, now that we've gone through those slides, now let's jump back into the discussion about how this all relates to what's going on today. And I will mute myself again so you all can take it away.
Okay.
I think where we begin with some of our conversation is the power of civility, and I think that understanding that we may not agree necessarily with people, how someone feels or what their thoughts are, but it's just being respectful and civil of our discussions and conversation. I think was really is what makes things that are easily important. When we're talking about ways where we want to acknowledge that, for instance, in this conversation ourselves, we want to acknowledge others, but we also want to be respectful with others and respect the person that's talking or when we're giving conversation. And then we don't always want to jump immediately to something negative about a particular person or someone. We want to find out more and have conversations with people to understand that they may be just like me. There may be some small things that we may disagree on, but in terms of our DNA and how we're made up, 99% of our DNA inside of each one of us is exactly the same. There's only 1% of our DNA that's different from each of us that really determines who we are as a person. So we have so many more things that are in common in terms of our makeup, but maybe our thoughts sometimes may be a little bit different. And when they are, we need to be civil about understanding our disagreements and understanding discourse. So I think that, we have to want to make sure that we are respectful of others, that we're not always leaning towards placing blame on someone for something, or and also having not necessarily sympathy, but empathy for someone and understanding their walk, their conversations, their times, things that they've been through as a person, and understand, okay, I can understand why this person may act this way or behave this way. And so when they do that, then we can have a little bit of empathy of why things may be negative that happen to them.
And also, just because we attend a different school or vote a certain way or live in a certain neighborhood, that as well does not make us any different from one another. We should all be loving and supportive and respectful of one another, regardless of how we vote or which church we attend or which school we attend. And just try to remember not to get caught up in all of that. So, and I say that because I know that there's been a lot of unrest recently in the news, and it's probably confusing to you. But just know a vote doesn't make the person. It doesn't make what you have in your heart. That shouldn't determine who we are because we vote a certain way. How we treat people. We shouldn't treat people any different because someone votes a different way from me.
Another thing I like to share is that we all know that there are within groups of anything that we are a part of, that there are great people, and then there are bad people as well. So understanding of grouping everyone into one large category, just as if they're all the same, we know that that's not the case. We know there are hundreds of thousands of us that are Girl Scouts, and we don't all think the same. We know that there are hundreds of thousands of people of color, of people that are completely different, that don't think the same. Are there people that are bad in those groups? Absolutely. But there are people that are also good as well. And so when we decide to make a blanket statement about one particular group or a group of people, then that's when our thoughts go wrong for that. And so, grouping one particular person or one set of people because of what they do for a living or where they live or what environment they're from, and just saying that all people are like that should not be something that we should do. We want to take the time and learn about each person. There's a great video out called A Single Story. It's about a 15-minute video. If you have the time, look it up. It's a single story and it's a TED Talk. And it specifically talks about a person and how people may just want to know one particular thing about you. And that's the single story that they tell about you. But we know that there's so many deep things about you inside of a person. For instance, if you look at me and see me, you say, she's a Black female, and and that's really all that you could probably say about me. You really don't know anything in terms of what I do, where I'm from, and different things like that until you've had a conversation and sat down and had to get to know me as a person. And just like any of your friends, until you sit down and have a conversation, get to know them, spend time with them, you'll learn that there's maybe so many things that you have in common with them. So if I had to guess, if I see people are writing in the chat, if someone want to just guess what they think that what I am and what I do, just based off of my conversation that we've had, who am I and what do I do?
Yes,
a single story about me. All you do is you've seen this conversation. You don't know much about me other than what you've seen me for a few seconds. Anybody want to place in the chat what they believe?
What is her occupation?
What do I do? Just from this one single interaction that you've had with me. I've been seeing the chat blowing up all day.
I know. I don't think.
See a teacher,
Okay.
a civil rights activist, a human rights activist, history teacher, a nurse, an educator, a doctor, some sort of doctor.
Somebody said a Girl Scout troop leader. Absolutely, I am.
Articulate motivational
Yes,
speaker. Ooh, that's a good one, Denise.
I love to see that. Keep going, keep going.
Several motivational speakers, college teacher, civil rights activist, troop leader, lawyer, mother.
You only have this single story about me, the few minutes that I've been talking.
You're the mayor. Somebody says you're the mayor.
Ah, love it. So you're making
the CEO of Girl Scouts. There you go. Right. A civil engineer.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good one. Preacher, teacher, mayor. Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of good.
Yes, I am a dog owner. So there are two things that I've seen in the chat. But well, actually, I've seen a couple that relate to me. But again, what I'm trying to get everyone to see here is that just for the few minutes that I've talked, I've never said anything or shared anything about myself. I will say it's a Saturday morning and I'm up, not quite with all of my earrings and makeup on that I would normally be in, but I am up this morning. So you get what you see this morning. But and so we get these conversations of who I am. A chef. I would love to be a chef. I wish I was a chef. But what am I trying to get to teach you here? You can't understand more about who I am until I continue conversation, until I continue to keep talking with each person. Someone said an empathetic person. Absolutely, I try to be that also as well. So I'm just going to share just a little bit briefly about me, just so you can see that you can't tell until you get to know more about the person. Yes, I am actually Taylor's Girl Scout troop leader. So I am her troop leader, and I enjoy so much with working with her and being with this gold award that she has done. We are so proud of it and proud of her. So that's one thing about me. Yes, a Girl Scout troop leader. I haven't seen anyone put in what I am in terms of my occupation.
I'll guess.
Well, Taylor, you know what I do. So
well, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I actually am a college professor. I'm a scientist. I am a chemist. And so,
that.
I am a chemist. I have a PhD in organic chemistry, and I know most people don't guess that. They don't assume because it's not initially traditionally someone wrote chemist. Now, yes, that we assume that as a woman that those are not roles that we're usually in. And then also as a Black person also as well, you don't see many chemists also in the role also as well. So I am, again, an example of just seeing me and listen to a few words of my conversation of a single story. Until you find more about me, then you know, okay, so she's educated. She went to, and I went to Georgia Tech for my PhD. And then I went to Jackson for my bachelor's degree. I went to Jackson State University. I'm also a member of a very large organization of women, several organizations of women that I'm a part of. So I'm very involved in the community, doing a lot of community work. I'm also the assistant provost for diversity at Sanford University here in Birmingham, Alabama. So again, I hold a lot of titles, but until you get down and spend conversation with me, we wouldn't know that. So I say, go Jackets. Yes, Georgia Tech, go Jackets. So again, until you spend more time meeting someone, having conversation, spending dialogue, then you say, oh, I want to get to know her more because I've spent time with her to learn that. But just making an initial thoughts about someone just from sight, not spending time with them, definitely should not be the way that we spend what we do. Now, let me say this. If I told you that I also was the person that was, that I was a sanitation worker, that I was someone that may be someone that people sometimes assume work that's not necessarily as highly visible or respected for some people, I still should be treated the same way. So regardless of what I do or what I say, respect for others is extremely important. So whether I am the person that's cleaning the lawn, cleaning the homes of others, if I'm the person that's the president of the university, in between, respect for others is what's owed to each of us. Respect for others is what is owed to each of us. And so we have to be mindful of that and understanding that we need to understand that we want to get to know each other. We want to get to make sure that we are being truthful about our conversations that we're having with one another. We know that there are so many things that are going on right now in our country that make it very difficult for us to really know kind of what's happening in terms of the civil unrest. And we know that that's there. But what can we do? What can we do as individuals to make this world a place where everyone shows respect for others? Well, we have to give respect ourselves. We have to do that, continue to keep giving respect to others. We have to be able to show that we have empathy for other people when we see them that are struggling. As Girl Scouts, we also want to make sure that we're doing community service of helping others. Someone always is in need of something. Myself personally, I am in need of something. I don't have everything that I need. I may look like I have because of what I said and what I do, but we all have that. We have something that we may need. I may just need someone to speak with and have a conversation with to lean on and support, just to talk about with conversations. Mentally, I just want to just talk with someone about the trees that are blooming today, whatever it may be. But there's something that everyone needs from someone. And whatever that is, you can provide that to them. Are there other conversations? I know I've talked quite a bit, probably more than what's expected.
No, that's fine.
I'm sorry, Ms. Ann Hernandez and all the others. Love you, DJG. I love the fact that somebody wrote DJG in there because, oh, Rennie, that's Rennie. Rennie, how are you? Somebody put DJG, and when I saw DJG, I said, they must know me. But yes, that's a great friend that's there. Wow, we've worked together. You never know who's on these calls. I'm so excited about that and seeing this. Thank you so much. I keep seeing the things in the chat that are popping up. I've probably talked a lot more than what I've needed to, than what Taylor is expected. Let me say this
Appreciate
also
that.
as well. Did I know that I was speaking today? Absolutely. Did I prepare anything? No, because I just wanted to be free flowing in the conversations. I really, really like to really just kind of just play off of what's being said or what others are sharing. And what came across me at this moment is what I wanted to share. Thank you all so much for the comments that you're putting there.
Thank you.
It means so much. And I've probably talked a lot more than I need to. So are there any questions? Have I written any books? No, but you're inspiring me to write. Oh, here's another fun thing I'll share with you. I'm also a triplet.
She is.
I have 2 other sisters. So I'm going to write a book about that eventually at some point in my life. Someone asked, did I write a book? I am going to do that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It is. Yes, we're all girls, and we are all grow up to be our own individual people. We do. So when you see 3 little babies or twins when they're little, they all grow up at some point. So yeah, so I am excited about that. Keep talking. Can I give you a first copy? Absolutely. What is it going to be about? It's going to be about that, about growing up and being triplets. And then I'm going to add some personal things also as well to that as well. So I'm excited about that. Are we identical? No, actually, DeWanda and Dion are. They are identical. So I'm going into my science now. So we know you have 2 eggs, right? And so women have 2 eggs. So 1 egg split into 2. And then the other egg is by itself. So the 1 egg that's split into 2, those 2 are identical. And those are my other sisters. And then I have my single egg by myself. So thank you so much for y'all so kind comments. So kind comments. I am going to stop talking. But again, I want to bring about the single story. Don't just make a single story about someone. Okay? So until you get to know them, spend time with them a lot more, conversations are had, you learn so much about them. And so I just want to share that. And while we are doing that, I'm going to go and find that link and put that in the chat for the single story so that you can
Was that the TED Talk? No, it was the TED Talk? Okay.
Will you be able to find it? I'm going to
yes, somebody did ask for that, and I said I was going to put that link. So if you can drop that link for us, people were asking about that TED Talk video that you mentioned.
I am. And here's something also as well that I want you to think about. What is your single story? What do people say about you singly? If they don't know anything about you, if they just walk, what would they say? What would they say about you for someone who only met you for 10 seconds, 15 seconds? No, I'm gonna even give you 30 seconds. And you wouldn't necessarily know that they're making a judgment about you, but when you walk up and meet someone for the first 30 seconds, what would they say about you? All right, so think about that. And then I want you to tell me or to think about what would you like for your single story to be if someone made one up about you? So what do you think people think about you in terms of your single story? That I'm friendly, I'm saying that I'm kind. This is what we want. This is what you want to see. This is what you want people to think about you. So you have that moment to make that, because people sometimes do that. Is it right? Is it fair? Absolutely not. It's not right for people to make a single story or come up with their thoughts about you from one incident, one interaction. It's not fair, but it's life. So what do? During that time, immediately when we meet them, we want to make an impact. We want to make an impact very immediately when someone says, I ramble. I do that too sometimes, Isabella. I ramble sometimes too. But it's okay. But they know that what rambling could mean to them is that you have something to say. So rambling doesn't necessarily mean that you have something that you want to share. I love seeing these comments.
Hey, Denise, this is Karen. How are you?
Hi,
hey, how are you?
How are you?
Great. Hey, I've got a question for you to share with the girls.
Yes.
As a Girl Scout troop leader, what do you think and what role do you think that you have in making the single most important impact on the girls and young women in your troop?
Oh, wow.
Okay. See, there you go. I should have given you cliff notes beforehand.
No, it's good. It's good. It allows you to think. And so I think what's really great about this is when you really have deep conversation and think about, because I think it is important that we want to think about what it is we want people to take from us. We live our lives going around and acting in certain ways, but what do we really want people to learn from us? And for me, in terms of being a troop leader with my Girl Scouts, I want them to know, one, that I love them and I care for them. I want them to know that I genuinely want them to do well, that I would do whatever I need to do to help them, to assist them. I want them to know that I am always behind them and supportive of whatever they're doing. When Taylor asked me to be a part of this app, she already knew that I was going to say yes, because she knows that I'm going to be there for her. And so there are some things that I would want young people to know, that they can do anything that they also want to do as well. Taylor will tell you, when we first started off with her project, she's smiling there, I can see her face. She was eager to get going and get started, but we were there with her, constantly pushing and saying, "Hey, Taylor, this is going to earn your gold award. This is going to be something that will live with you forever. You don't understand the impact." But as her mother, she's on the call as well, is pushing, and we are as troop leaders as well, and inspiring. This is going to be something that's going to be with you forever. So I want them to know that we are there to support them, that we are there to encourage, to let them know that when things are going, they may look bad, that it's always some brighter side on the other side, and the value and the importance. So I just want to, and I hope that they all feel that way, that they know that I am there for them, that I love, that I care for them, that I want the best for them. And I also want them to know that I wanted them to be able to look up to me also as well, to say, you know, not to necessarily be like me, because I don't want anyone to be like me, but have the characteristics of me also as well, which means that I have to live up to those characteristics also. I have to portray characteristics that people want to live up to. So, so yeah, Karen, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did good. You did good. I still remember to this day, and it doesn't seem like over 2 years ago, Taylor, that you presented your gold award, your project to the gold award committee. And I remember that day very, very well. And I still remember, it's a great memory for all of us. And I remember that day I handed you Senator Jones's card. And it was on you to do all the work and to contact Senator Jones and all the work that you did. But I will tell you, we are proud, and we are totally proud, Taylor, of you and your fellow Girl Scouts, and what a troop you have. And Christina and Denise, you do a great job. You truly do a great job.
Thank you all so much. And I just want to add to this also as well with Taylor. I'm bragging now, and I'm sure it may come up, but I know this is, y'all haven't asked for this commercial, but I'm just an advocate for Girl Scouts and just kind of pushing that. But girls, especially those that are right now at the age, and I'm sure they're going to get to this, so I'm probably stealing some thunder. But you just don't understand the value and importance of what a bronze, a silver, and a gold award will do for you. As you see now, just from Taylor's project, she has really, really gone past or towards something that has given her a much larger platform than she ever expected. I'm sure she can share with you all about that. Just even with the bronze award for your 4th and 5th graders that are juniors, please go out and do something. Start it now. Be thinking about what it is that you can do to impact your community. If for those that have done their bronze award, place it in the chat what you've done. Tell me what you've done so far for those that have done their bronze awards. I mean, that would be really, really cool. But if you've done a silver one, write that in there. Type the word bronze and say what you did in there. Let others know. Be proud of that work. And then for those that are working on their gold award, don't stop. Don't stop. Girls that are in the 4th and 5th grade, don't say, I don't enjoy doing this. I don't want to do this anymore. After you get to the 6th and 7th, 8th grade, it's not cool. It's not fun. It is cool. It is fun. I'm telling you, it is. You have to make it what you want it to be. I'm seeing all these great awards in here. Oh, raising money for K-9 units. Oh, I love that. Our troop visited elders home. Absolutely. Keep putting them in there. These are such inspiring. Oh, wow. I helped fix my school's garden. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. Keep placing those in there.
As we keep letting everybody drop their award programs that they have participated in and earned through Girl Scouts, we also have a video coming up next. And you guys feel free to keep using the chat to contact me, all of us. I would love to personally answer your questions near the end, but we do have a video that is coming up next.
All right, I'm going to share a video now that goes into a little bit more detail about Taylor's Gold Award.
Hi, my name is Taylor Player. I'm a 2018 Girl Scout Gold Award recipient for my patch program entitled the Four Little Girls Patch Program, paying tribute and homage to the four little girls who were killed right here at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama on September 15th, 1963. I chose this project because one of the four little girls, Carol Robertson, was a Girl Scout just like myself, just like many of you. I think it's important for the younger girls like the Brownies and Daisies, and all the way up through Girl Scouts, all of the levels, to learn about the civil rights movement, our African American history. I think this could just be used as a great opportunity to expand our knowledge and appreciation for our Black history. It's definitely very exciting to see, especially the younger girls, even more so the girls my age, take the time to really dig into my patch program and complete as many requirements as they can to earn the patch. It's really a blessing that my patch program is as relevant as it is. I would have to say my favorite part in earning my Girl Scout Gold Award would be the interview where I got to candidly sit down with Senator Doug Jones and get him to answer all of the questions that I was able to come up with. The biggest obstacle I had in the process of earning my Gold Award was creating the patch design. Creating a design I felt that truly represented the four little girls and what happening here at the 16th Street Baptist Church. I've been in Girl Scouts since I was a Brownie. Every Girl Scout has a troop leader, and that's where it all starts. They will look out for you, they will help you and uplift you in any way they can, and they also played a big role in helping me earn my Gold Award. I attend the University of Alabama. I am currently a sophomore. I will graduate class of 2023. I'm very excited. I am studying psychology. I changed my major from criminal justice to psychology with a minor in social welfare. Girl Scouts and my Gold Award was really the reason why when I was a freshman, I chose criminal justice as my major. The interview with Senator Doug Jones and the connections that I made just from my Gold Award definitely set me up to where I could have a successful career. I found myself to be more passionate about psychology and being able to help others in their state of minds. Girl Scouts always says to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong. I think of myself to be all of those things. I think when you look at the Girl Scout Promise and the Girl Scout Law, if you can just be a handful of those character traits, you're set for life. I'm here in front of the statue entitled The Four Spirits, honoring the four little girls killed in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing on September 15th, 1963. The four little girls, Cynthia Wesley, Denise McNair, Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robertson, who was actually a Girl Scout just like myself, just like all of you, who was killed in the church bombing. My takeaway from the whole process of earning my Girl Scout Gold Award would be that with the proper support system and friends and family, you can do anything you put your mind and heart to and exceed all expectations. I would also like to give a huge thank you so much to the Community Foundation of Greater Birmingham for their generous support in this program.
Thank you all for watching that video. We loved learning more about Taylor's journey in earning her Gold Award. So we hope that all of you will consider earning the highest awards. So I know that we have a lot of girls who are daisies and brownies in here. So you know, even though you're not old enough to earn the bronze award yet, since you do have to be a junior to earn that first highest award, what you can be doing now is earning your Journey Awards, as well as doing lots of community service with your troop. Look around. What do you see in your community that could be better? What do you see in your community that bothers you that you think should be changed? So, of course, a big topic that we've discussed today is racism. And so a lot of highest awards projects, especially over the last few months with this latest wave of social unrest leading to awakening, and more people learning about the experiences of Black people and Indigenous people and people of color, that has led to a lot of girls expressing interest in doing highest awards projects around the topic of racism. So, you know, a highest awards project is a great thing that you can do, but I also like to remind girls that you don't have to wait for your highest awards project, for your bronze, silver, or gold project to make a difference in your community. You don't have to wait to be working on your project to make the world a better place. We're Girl Scouts, so that means that we promise every day to make the world a better place. So what are some things that we can do to stand up to racism in our community? You know, one thing that's simple is that if you are maybe in school or around a group of friends or family and you hear something, you know, hear somebody say something insensitive, you hear somebody say something racist, then you can say, I won't stand by while you say things like that. I'm not okay with you saying that. I don't agree with you. And you can walk away from that conversation. You know, I think it's on all of us to stand up and say, we're not okay with racism. So I'm going to let Taylor and if Dr. Gregory is still on and Miss Ann jump in and share their thoughts.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to respond to all of you in the chat. I will do that later. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this patch program and being here with all of us today. I'm going to piggyback off of Katie and say that it is extremely important to stand up for the things that you believe in. I've always heard growing up, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I also think that if everybody would just treat others as they would like to be treated, that in itself can fix a lot of our problems. If we could just treat others in the way that we would want them to treat us, treat others that you would want somebody to treat your mom, your grandmother, your little sister, your little brother, anybody in your family. If we just treat each other with respect, if we're honest, if we're encouraging, uplifting as well, if we're inclusive. I think I was going to also let Dr. Gregory talk about, she is part of an inclusion program at her university. And so I think that diversity, how schools have to meet certain diversity quotas every year. I think that in itself, you know, everything is a melting pot. We're just even here. This Zoom call is a melting pot. People from all over the country, all different states, we're all here together, focused on one singular cause. So that is my spill. I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but there are numerous things you can do, and Dr. Gregory will tell you more.
Yeah, I'm happy to share more, Taylor. One thing we've mentioned several already, but I want people to also be aware of our own prejudices. I'm not sure if you've heard of the word bias, but each person, all of us have what we call biases. And these are feelings that we have when we tend to lean towards something that we give more attention to one side over the other. And we all have them. Sometimes our biases can be negative. Sometimes they can be positive, and sometimes they can even be neutral. And so what do we mean by that? For me to say that I like red as my favorite color wouldn't necessarily hurt anyone, but that's still a bias that I have. That means I'm tended to lean towards something that I like more of. So some people like purple more, some people like green more. So usually those biases or ways that we tend to lean towards something more than something else don't necessarily harm or hurt others. But then we also have what we call biases that could be negative, where we lean towards one side or another about something, and we don't have the full. We may feel that we have the full view, but we've leaned towards a side that's uncomfortable for something or someone else. And so I say that we want to be aware of those biases or those prejudices that we have towards something, because when we are aware and we see them sometimes, especially for those that are negative or wrong, then we're able to say to ourselves, you know, I'm aware of this, and I'm saying this isn't right. So I shouldn't probably lean towards that or do that. So being aware of ourselves, and then also educating ourselves about some things. Sometimes we take what someone tells us and we believe it. We haven't found out more information about what we want to know about that particular situation or what really happened. We just have, again, that one little single story of what we've heard, this one line that we've heard, and we say, okay, that's what I'm going to go with, and that's what I'm going to believe. But we really want to educate ourselves and find out more of what happened. Let's kind of expand our worldview about why this particular situation happened before we just make a complete judgment call about what just happened. And then also, if we are around some of our friends that have experience and they share their experience with you about necessarily if someone being racist to them or is experiencing some form of racism, let's not belittle that. Each person's experience is a healing process for them to speak, and if they feel very comfortable to talk with you about it, be a listener to hear what they have to say and what they have to share. And we should not, and again, that's where our empathy comes in, is we don't have to be sympathy. Sympathy means that you feel sorry for me. No, I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me, but I am asking you to have empathy. And by that, we mean understand or see it from my point of view to understand, okay, I see how this person may feel that way. So, I mean, those are just a few things. Talk to your others, your parents, your troop leaders, your someone that you respect that can help you understand. Find someone that's different from you, also to have conversation, to learn more about why. Now, let me say this: when you do that, and again, I know our time is running short, so I'm gonna be really quick. But when you do that, make sure that you've developed a relationship with them, so they know where you're coming from. And when you have these conversations, they're more than willing to sit down and speak with you about it. Of course, you just can't walk up to someone randomly, you know, and say, hey, let me ask you this. But again, people that you know, that you trust, that you know that are going to help to lead you in the right path with that, to help you with understanding these conversations. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing. And that's about a quote from Nelson Mandela. And then I'm going to be out. And it says, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. So again, we're not born out of our mother's womb hating, right? These are things that we begin to develop over time as we begin to grow. But we can also learn, and if we may have those thoughts, to change those thoughts. Hopefully they're not there for you, but if they are, you can change that. And so we just have to grow to understand and to be respectful of others. And so that's what's going to be extremely important, is that we take the time to learn more about each other. And so when we see those hurtful things that come up, those things that we know are wrong, let's just be mindful of that and just try to turn those into a positive and learn to love one another. I'm done, Taylor. I'm sorry if I talked too long, but thank you all so much for having me also as well.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you all for being a part of this. And it is 11:55. So it is about time for releasal. Katie, were there any, or Miss Karen, Jennifer, were there any final words, parting words?
Well, we have put the survey link in the comments. So So we want everybody to make sure that they fill out the survey. That is how you will get the patch. I know I'm sure that you all know people who were not able to get into the program because of our issues with Zoom this morning. So we are so sorry, and we will be sending out that recording as well as the survey link. So that way everybody will be able to view this program. We are so grateful to the Community Foundation of Greater Birmingham, who sponsored this program through a generous grant. We're grateful for their partnership and for helping make this program possible. I'm really so excited that you all are interested in knowing more and learning more. Knowledge is power. Please take this opportunity to go out and look up and read more about these issues and anything that sparked your interest today. And, you know, if this leads to you doing a highest awards project within any of these topics, then of course that's great. But really educating yourself is the first step. And being here today is part of that. So thank you so much. We're gonna leave this up. We're not gonna end the meeting, so that way we can make sure that everybody is able to copy that link or click on the link. If you, I know I've gotten a lot of emails from you, if you are maybe 2 sisters or 3 sisters watching together, make sure that you each take the survey. So one of you takes the survey and then you submit that survey and then take it again. You are able to do that in the form settings. So please make sure that you each complete the survey.
I would like to say, while we still have time and most everybody is still on, again, thank you all for attending this. And I was going to say that I think my mom, both of my parents have both told me and instilled in me that knowledge is the only thing that you can have in your possession that nobody can take from you. Knowledge is power, and knowledge is key to everything. And I truly believe that. Thank you guys, still talking in the chat. I also wanted to say that if you had any more questions for me, I know I can answer questions about the Gold Award, but of course, Katie and Miss Karen and Jennifer are your go-tos for that, or your troop leaders, but I would be more than willing to help anybody with anything. All of these ladies can put you in contact with me, or you can reach out to me in the chat. I am trying to respond to as many people as I can. There are a lot of you. But I'm very excited, and I hope you've enjoyed our program that we have put together. Thank you so much. And while you guys are finishing up the surveys and earning your patches, let's try to leave some encouraging messages in the chat, just uplifting everybody in general. We're all going through a pandemic. I know that for sure. We're all going through that together. Presidential elections, nothing that we have to get into. I would just like that if we can all just uplift each other, send love and positivity into the chat room. I would love to end on that note.
Taylor, thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Leading this discussion and sharing, the history of the 16th Street bombing. Katie said it. Education is the only way that we can help to eliminate biases or know our biases and to be able to eliminate the inequities that live in our world. So I'm going to leave you with the last word from Ephesians. Be kind to one another. And so that is my challenge to you all, is to be kind to one another. And that's it. As Girl Scouts, that should be first and foremost in our mind. I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I want you all to think about all the things that you're grateful for. We're all going through a pandemic, yes, but there's lots of things for us to be thankful for. So please have a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving. Again, thank you, Taylor, Thank you, Dr. Gregory. Thank you, Ms. Nesbitt, Senator Jones, who was here today, Lisa McNair. Taylor, you did a good job assembling all those people that are really important to our history and knowing our history. And then I invite all of you from all across the United States, wherever you may be, come see us in Alabama. And
I'll be here.
Come see us. Come to the Civil Rights Museum. Come to 16th Street Baptist Church. Call us when you get here. We may entertain you a little bit. Stay at one of our beautiful camp properties. So I'm giving my commercial for our camp. So come see us, though, and really get a taste of what the civil rights movement was all about. And you can come away with a great educational experience. Have a great time. Thank you again. Especially our friends in California. I know it's still early there, right?
All right. Thank you, everybody. We are about to end. I'm adding the link one more time just in case anybody hasn't gotten it yet, but I think everybody should have been able to get the link by now. But again, we will be emailing everybody, whether you're in here today or not. Everybody is going to get an email with the link to the recording as well as the link to the survey. So if for some reason you haven't gotten a chance to fill the survey out, you can look for that link coming to you.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here.
Lastly, I love each and every one of you girls that have logged onto this call and all Girl Scouts worldwide. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good day, blessed day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, lots of hearts going out. Thank you, Cassie.
Love you guys.